Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and members, to today's March 1st State Government Committee. With that, Mr. Clerk Colton, would you call the roll, please?
Representatives Alexander, Beck, Bricken, Carr, Carringer, Chisholm, Cooper, Halford, Helton, Holsquall, Holsey, Jernigan, Johnson, Littleton, Marsh, Moon, Powell, Wendell, Vice Chairman Eldridge, Chairman Kiesling. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. All right. That's off to the races. All right. Members, are there anyone with announcements or personal orders before we begin? I see none. As always, what we would like to do for those who are visiting with us for the first time, we have a tradition, this committee, and it's called This Day in History. And we're going to begin into the year 1872. I repeat, 1872. Today was the year that, or the day that Yellowstone National Park was established by the U.S. Congress as our country's and the world's, for that matter, first national park. Moving into 1969. Wow, what a year. It's a great year. Kiesling graduated from high school that year. I'm telling my age, aren't I? Members, after 18 years with the New York Yankees, Mickey Mantle announces his retirement from baseball. Mantle was one of the greatest hitters the game had ever seen, and in 61, he rivaled teammate Roger Maris in an attempt to break the Babe's single season home run record, and everyone knows who the Babe was. And finally, 2 years later, it was 1971, and unfortunately, a bomb explodes in the Capitol building in D.C., causing an estimated 300,000 in damage, but fortunately, hurting no one. A group calling itself the Weather Underground claimed credit for the bombing, which was done in protest of the ongoing U.S. support Laos invasion. So, with that, members, that is your today's in history. All right, we are going to, as we begin our calendar, we have, I'm sorry, Mr. Analyst, how many do we have on today's calendar? Total, we have a total of 19. We'll move along rather quickly, I think. But before we move, we are going to go out of session for just a second. I'm going to pass the gavel over to Vice Chair Eldridge, and I've got the first three there on the calendar. With that, out of session.
All right, thank you, Chairman. We are now back in session. First item on our calendar this afternoon is HJR 676 by Chairman Kiesling. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. HJR 676, I'm pleased to bring before you this one and the following two for the our Tennessee Education Lottery Corporation's board of directors. With that, the first one is Joelle Phillips, and if I may, I'd like to give a brief bio on Joelle. She's a very familiar face around Nashville, obviously, and around the capital. Joelle served as president of AT&T Tennessee since 2013. She brings over a decade of experience in the telecommunications industry and over 2 decades of experience in the legal profession to her current position. As president of AT&T Tennessee, Joelle works closely with community and business leaders, elected officials, and her colleagues at AT&T to continue to bring advanced communications technologies to consumers and businesses. Joelle was recognized by the Nashville Business Journal's per-selected Best of the Bar Awards in the categories of corporate counsel as well as telecommunications specialist. Prior to joining AT&T, Joelle practiced law with the firms in Nashville and Atlanta. With that, Mr. Chairman, I present to you Joelle Phillips for this appointment, sir. And I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are there any questions concerning this appointment for the chairman? Question's been called on the bill. Any opposed to the question? Seeing none, we're voting on HJR 676. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. And sir, this one will move on to calendar and rules. Next up is HJR 677 by Chairman Kiesling. Chairman,
Thank you, Chairman.
do we have a motion and a second? We have a motion and a second. Chairman, you're
All
recognized.
right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and HJR 677, Trey Watkins. Trey is a Memphis native and graduated from the University of Memphis in '96. Trey joined the member group of Watkins Uberall in 2009. As a member, he provides comprehensive audit preparation, compliance, and consulting services. Trey's responsibilities include administration of the firm's audit department, which includes scheduling staff members to projects and project follow-up to ensure deadlines and goals are being met. He focuses his efforts within the construction industry, but also serves clients within the manufacturing, not-for-profit, government, and brokerage industries. He currently resides in Memphis with wife Sarah and sons William, Henry, and James. When away from the office, he enjoys spending time with the wife, children, golfing, and hunting. And with that, I present to you, Mr. Chairman and members, Trey Watkins for approval.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are there any questions concerning HJR 677? Seeing none, question's been called on the bill. All in favor of HJR 677, say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. And sir, this one will move on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members.
Next up, we have HJR 678 by Chairman Kiesling. Do we have a motion and a second? We have a motion and a second. Chairman Kiesling, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. And HJR 678, Tyrone Burroughs, in 1987, Tyrone founded the he's not that old, global consumer products management firm First Choice Sales and Marketing Company, with a vision to create an innovative sales and marketing approach for the personal care industry. As president and CEO, he continues to provide strategic solutions, delivering growth to some of the world's largest consumer packaged goods manufacturers, retailers, and distributors. As a driving force behind the $1.7 trillion of buying power multicultural personal care category, First Choice has received numerous industry awards and recognitions for developing unique programs that connect their clients to a target market. Headquartered in Memphis, the company is home to over 100 employees and professional contributors. With that, members, I present to you Mr. Tyrone Burroughs for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are there any questions concerning HJR 678? Oh, Representative Bricken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to confirm, these are reappointments on the board. Is that not correct? And what term is the appointment?
Chairman Kiesling.
Thank you for that question, Chairman.
I'm sorry. I'm
Chairman.
looking at their website. They look like.
And I'm going to pass it. Well, I'll have to defer to who? All right.
Yeah.
Go out of session. You want to go out of session?
No.
Go out.
You'll
have to go out of session.
We're going to go out of session to hear from legal.
Matt Mundy from legal. I don't have a particular answer to that. I think the best thing to do maybe would be to ask the nominees.
New term?
While they're here, sure.
Oh, you're already on the website though.
Well, they need to be on the
Congratulations.
mic. They need to be on the mic. You need to be on the mic.
All right, we'll go back in session.
Understand
And
that.
we are ready to vote on HJR 678.
Is he satisfied
All in
with
favor,
that?
say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and HJR 678 will move on to calendar and rules. And
Thank
at
you,
this-
Mr. Chairman.
And at this time, we're going to go out of session for just a moment to pass the gavel back over to Chairman Kiesling.
Okay, we will return back into session. And with that, Chair Lady Littleton, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know I'm out of order, but I'd like to recognize Captain Victor Donahoe. Did he just leave? He's retired, a retired captain from the trooper. I wanted to thank him for his service, but I guess. he just
Wonderful.
walked out the
Thank
door,
you.
so.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we are now, let's focus on item number 4, House Bill 2182. And yes, we have Chairman Farmer with us. He's coming to the podium as we speak. It is great to have you here, Chairman Farmer. Do I have a motion and a second? Got you. We've got you, sir. You are now recognized, Chairman Farmer.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, I'm carrying this bill for the Department of Revenue through Leader Lambert, so I hope that doesn't hurt me too bad. What this does is it removes the requirement that every distiller, rectifier, venter, or importer selling distilled spirits or wines to licensed wholesalers, it would alleviate them from having to report every month because we can do that electronically now, and the revenue can ask for it at any point in time. So I just save some resources over in revenue. So I just ask for passage.
All right, very good. You have heard the explanation. Are there any questions to the sponsor? Yes, we do. And that is Chairman Holsclaw. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Just for the record and clarification, they do get an electronic copy of these, correct?
Chairman Farmer.
As I understand it, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate that, this will probably kick me off consent. As I understand it, this would alleviate these folks from a monthly reporting requirement as they do, I believe, by paper. I believe there's an electronic mechanism in place to where they wouldn't have to report every month, but if requested by the Department of Revenue, then they can easily report those findings or whatever, those statistics to the Department of Revenue. So I don't think they have to report monthly. I may be wrong, but as I understand this piece of legislation, it'd be just upon request from this point forward if the Department of Revenue wanted to see that.
But they do, and that's what I was trying to figure out. They still get those exact records, so taxation, that kind of stuff's tracked.
Right. That's as I understand it. Does that make sense? I understood it to be, well, we're not asking that. Right now they have a requirement where they're reporting every month.
Mhm.
They're saying, well, we really don't use this information, but if we need it, we've got an electronic method to obtain it, whether reporting, or they may report it. They may have access to it anytime they want it, as a matter of fact. But this is just alleviate the requirement they report monthly, I guess by paper or whatever method they had been doing it in the past.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't want to kick you off consent. I hate that for you.
Just-
I think slide through this time.
Mr. Chairman, for you,
Chairman Farmer, we do have some folks here from Revenue. If you, up to you, sir. I will be glad to go out of session and call them and bring them up for clarification if you'd wish.
yes, Mr. Chairman, let's do that. I want
All right,
Chairman
certainly.
Holsclaw to answer
Very
that.
good. Let's do that. We will go out of session and ask Rev to come forward.
Rev.
If you would, please, you guys know the routine. Please identify yourself for our members.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. Logan Hess, Legislative Director for the Department of Revenue. With me is our Legislative Liaison, Shelby Hurt. Representative, I believe the question was, do we still get the reports? Is that correct? So currently, any of the taxpayers that Chairman Farmer mentioned, they have to, every time they send or they sell their product to a licensed wholesaler, they have to send us a copy of that invoice monthly. we don't use the copy of that invoice for anything at the moment. We can still request it by email if we need it during an audit performance, but administratively, we don't have any use for it.
Chairman Holsclaw, follow up?
Thank you for that information.
Okay. Chairman Farmer, would you want to dovetail off anything there while we've got them
No,
at the
thank you. No,
table?
thank
All
you,
right,
Mr. Chair.
certainly. Okay. Other questions to the, to revenue? Okay. Well, all right, let us, then we'll go, back into session. Thank you all for being with us and taking time to answer those questions. Chairman Farm, we have a call for the question. I see no objections. Let us vote. Those in favor, House Bill 2182, please say aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you, Chairman Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We appreciate you. And you are headed to calendar and rules, Chairman. Next, we have item number 5, House Bill 2169 by the one and only Chairman Powers. We're glad to have you with us today, sir. You are recognized, Chairman Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm glad to be here.
We've got a motion and a second, Chairman.
All right, thank you.
Proceed, please.
Thank you. This is an administration bill, and to steal a line from the comptroller, House Bill 2169 will make government work better. The legislation increases the monetary threshold for major maintenance projects and state lease agreements. The current threshold of $100,000 was originally set back 35 years ago and has never been adjusted to account for inflation. And we all know what the cost of material and labor has done nowadays. This legislation would raise the current maintenance threshold of $100,000 to $250,000, which is approximately what the threshold would be if adjusted for inflation over the past 35 years. This will contribute to the reduction of deferred maintenance. And the legislation would also raise the current lease threshold of $150,000 to $250,000. This would bring back the number of leases needed. This increase would bring the number of leases needing to go to the State Building Commission pre-approval back to approximately the same number as it had 10 years ago. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I renew my motion.
Good explanation, sir. Any questions to the sponsor? I see none. Do I have a call for? I do. We have a call for the question, and I see no objections. Therefore, let us proceed and vote for House Bill 2169. Those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Congratulations, Chairman Powers. You are headed to calendar and rules, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Very good. Item number 6. House Bill 2179, and it is our one and only member, Chairman Moon. And Chairman Moon, I see no amendments. You're free to ride along here. You've got a motion and a second. Would you explain your bill, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. This is coming to me from the Department of Military. Has to do with emergency service coordinators, also known as ESCs. They play a vital role in the state's response to an emergency. Each executive branch department or agency designates a primary ESC to serve that department's representation on the team of issue board. So what this bill does, in the sunset audit of 2019, there's no authority for the withholding of the stipend. Each one of these ESCs are on call 24 hours, 7 days a week, and they receive a stipend. But in law currently, that stipend cannot be withheld. If they don't complete their training, if they miss seminars, there's nothing there to keep them from holding that back. This bill takes care of that. The second thing this bill does is provide for alternates. So instead of an agency having one ESC, they'd have an alternate 1 or 2. There again, they're on call 24/7, and they not only respond to the emergency, but resolution after the emergency. So I'll stand ready for any questions.
Certainly. Thank you, sir. Any questions to the sponsor? See none, but we have, I heard in the background, a call for the question. Lucky you, Chairman Moon, right? And I see no objections, so let us proceed to vote for House Bill 2179. Those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you, Chairman Moon. And you are on to finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Members.
sir. Thank you. And we have item number 7, House Bill 2170 by Chairman Russell. We have a motion, and I did hear a second. No amendments. Chairman Russell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The current law requires the Department of General Services to sell surplus personal property at a fair market value. And there is a different statute that could be interpreted as contradicting the requirement that the surplus personal property be sold at a fair market value, while the Department of General Services has only sold surplus property at a fair market value. This second statute may create some confusion. So this just cleans up some language and some administration bill.
Okay, very good. You've heard an explanation. Any questions to the bill sponsor? Got a question called, and I see no objections. Chairman Russell, we're going to vote on House Bill 2170. Those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. And you are off to the races. The races are leading you to where? Calendar and rules.
Thank you.
Chairman Russell. Thank you. Saddle up. Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Oh, wait a minute here. You're not leaving us, are you? You've got the next one. Item number 8, House Bill 1734. Just stay put there, sir. And no amendments. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee, as introduced, House Bill 1734 authorizes a representative of the agency of a government in which a peace officer served at the time of the officer's death to receive the 3 Stars of Tennessee Award on the officer's behalf, provided there are no other surviving next of kin to receive the award. It authorizes the Commissioner of Safety in collaboration with Homeland Security Council to promulgate the rules regarding the section and administration of the award. With that, I renew my motion.
Very good. All right. We've got a motion and a second already. Any questions to the sponsor? Yes, we do. Chairman Halsey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just going to say this allows retroactive, doesn't it, to go back if this committee wants to do that?
Chairman Russell, you're recognized.
So legal would probably be the best to answer that question.
Would you want, we can seek that, an answer to that. Let us, Chair's going to go out of session. We're going to turn our attention now to legal. Mr. Mundy, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Matt Mundy from Legal. Generally speaking, and rules of statutory interpretation, all laws are prospective. They move forward. So unless it has a retroactivity clause, which it doesn't, it would be only for those 3-star awards moving forward on and after the effective date of the act.
Follow-up question, Chairman Halsey. Right. Any questions, any further questions to legal while we're out of session? All right, see none. We're going to go back into session. Got a call for the question? Yes. Let us vote. Those in favor of House Bill 1734, please say aye. Those opposed, like sign. House Bill 1734 now moves on to GovOps. All right.
Thank you.
Chairman, thank you for being with us today, sir. I hope you've enjoyed it. And now item number 9, House Bill 2089 by the one and only Chairman White. It is good to have you with us today, sir. You have already received a motion and a second. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and committee. The bill I have before you is it's a program that's already in place by law enforcement. This bill was brought to me by law enforcement, and it's called the Handle with Care program. And what this does, it creates a partnership with our local law enforcement and our local school system, that if they have had to go to any home, say the day before, the night, or the morning of, where there's trauma in the home, domestic violence, what we call these ACE experiences, shootings, drug raids, or anything where there's children present, the law enforcement has been trained that they find out what children in the home, their ages, and what school they go to. They then send a communication to the school, say the next morning for the child, when the child arrives, says, handle with care. This child's been through a lot of issues in the last 24 hours. And it's to help the school in case the child is acting out. It's not necessarily a discipline problem. That child, he or she is going through some trauma, and it's called Handle with Care, and to keep an eye on that child. And so I think it's a great program that the law enforcement has. The program is already in place. What this particular bill does is just make sure that all records created are confidential. And so a great program by our law enforcement, and I'm proud to carry it for them.
You bet. Good job. And it is a great program. Any questions to the sponsor? Chairman White. I see none. Yes, we do. Yeah, we have a call for the question. So I see no objections. Let us vote on House Bill 2089. Those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. And you are headed to GovOps. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir. Congratulations. All right. Next, we have our dear friend with House Bill item number 10, House Bill 1695. Chairman Hicks, you're everyone's friend. You know that. Chairman of Finance. He's everyone's friend. And you have no amendments to this. Chairman Hicks, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and fellow friends of the committee. Last year, this General Assembly passed Public Chapter 518, which allowed health benefits for the Tennessee Highway Patrol at 25 years at retirement under the Legacy Plan. This bill goes hand in hand with that particular piece of legislation in that it allows state troopers hired after that 2015 date to receive the same health benefit. So House Bill 1695, again, allows state troopers that are hired after 2015 and retire after 25 years of service the ability to receive 80% coverage of their health benefit.
Very good. Thank you, Chairman Hicks, for that explanation. You do have a motion and a second. Any further questions to the sponsor at this time? No, there's none, and there's even a call for the question, and I see no objections. With that, let us vote on House Bill 1695. Those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. And Chairman Hicks, you are headed to guess where? Finance.
All right. Thank you, Chairman and committee.
Thank you. Members, and item number 11, House Bill 2450, please note, has been rolled, a request to be rolled for 1 week. That takes us now to item number 12. We have a motion and a second on House Bill. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. It has been rolled. Forgive me. Chairman Williams, forgive me. Let's move on to item number 13, House Bill 2050 by Chairman Williams. We have a motion. Yeah, we do. We got a second. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and members. I also have an amendment that.
Yes,
was
you
put
do.
on-
By golly, I forgot about that. Would you give us that drafting code, please?
Drafting code 014089.
Correct, sir. Let us get how about a motion in a second? Do I hear it? We do have a motion and a second on the amendment. Any questions to the sponsor on the amendment? See none. Let us vote. Those in favor of the amendment number 1, 14089, please say aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Now, amendment 1 has been added. Chairman Williams, you are recognized for an explanation, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and members. This bill was brought to me by CUFI, which is the Christians United for Israel. It's a response to many attempts to boycott
Israel and the people of Israel and their companies that are there. This bill would those that seek to prevent or to block the Jewish people from operating in the state of Tennessee. This would prohibit them from doing so, those businesses from doing business with the state of Tennessee. So it would, in fact, eliminate their ability to do contracts with the state of Tennessee. There are exceptions to the contracting, and that is for businesses less than 10 employees or a contract less than $250,000. The amendment that you put on the bill was simply to clarify the territories that are associated with the Jewish state, which has been in existence uninterrupted for more than 3,000 years. And currently, the state of Tennessee does $71 million annually with the nation of Israel, and over $1.4 billion in the last 20 years. And so I'm happy to answer any questions the members might have. I also think, Chairman, there are some people that would like to that have contacted your office about testifying.
You're exactly correct. And at this time, Chairman, we're going to, if there's no objection, we're going to go out of session here and bring those folks up, if you would, please. So no objections. We're going to go out of session. Our first group is Christians United for Israel. Gentlemen, we'll allow you to introduce yourselves. Your last names look as difficult to pronounce as Kiesling, so therefore we're going to allow you to do that for us. And just as a reminder, you're on the clock, okay? We have agreed, and it may not take that long, but members, we have agreed to allow them up to 10 minutes. So with that, gentlemen, who wants to lead off, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and we'll keep it well under 10 minutes. Good afternoon, distinguished members of the committee. My name is Ari Morgenstern, and I oversee policy and communications for Christians United for Israel. On behalf of the more than 300,000 members of our organization in the state of Tennessee and our more than 10 million members nationwide, I want to thank the members of the committee for taking up this vital legislation. It is vital because, as Representative Williams mentioned, there is an effort here in this state and across the country to have American taxpayer dollars subsidize the effort to boycott Israel. Now, you may hear some seek to demonize the state of Israel, and I assure you there is no limit to the duplicitous lengths Israel's enemies and the anti-Semites across this country will go to in an effort to destroy the Jewish state. And that is exactly what the movement to boycott Israel seeks to do. Where the terrorists have failed, the boycotters seek to make gains. Allow me to be very clear. The Jewish people are the indigenous people of the land of Israel. Israel is a free and democratic nation that shares American values. Israel upholds the human and civil rights of all of its citizens, regardless of race, religion, or any other factor. Yet, despite this, Israel has been under attack since the day of her modern founding. But today, you have an opportunity to stand with the righteous. Christians United for Israel has been involved in legislation like this and measures like this in numerous states across the country. And I want to assure you that sitting before you is the strongest legislation of its kind in the United States. It is my sincere hope and prayer that you all here in this committee and the state of Tennessee continue your longstanding support of the state of Israel and advance this legislation. And now I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Bobby Scott, a resident of the state.
Yeah, and I'm here to help. My last name's Scott, so we should have no problem with that. My name is Bob Scott. I'm a Tennessee resident, live just north of Chattanooga, Evansville, Tennessee. I'm a field coordinator for Christians United for Israel, covering several states. The Tennessee-Israel relationship is based on shared values and mutual interest. You all know that. Trade policies not only developed at the national level, but at the state level. Tennessee is one of 33 states that have cooperative agreements with the nation of Israel. Just some statistics that the representative has already given them. In 2020, Tennessee exported more than $71 million worth of manufacturing goods to Israel. And over the past 20 to 25 years, their exports to Israel have totaled more than 1.2 to 1.4 billion. That's billion with a B. Additionally, over the last 25 years, Tennessee companies have received nearly $877 million in foreign military financing to provide material for Israeli Defense Forces. And that's businesses such as Welco in Knoxville, BAE Systems in Kingsport, and Tantalum in Jackson. Tennessee has also received more than $2 million in grants from binational U.S.-Israel foundations for research in science and agriculture and promotion of commercial ventures. Businesses such as Federal Express, Advanced Vehicle Systems, and Beck Arnley World Parts all have enjoyed doing business in the nation of Israel. And in my hometown of Chattanooga, Tennessee, several years ago, there was a joint operation between Israel and Chattanooga that gave us our electric buses that are in such great operation downtown. In April of 2015, the Tennessee General Assembly formally condemned the boycott, divest, and sanction movement, the BDS movement, by a 123-1 vote in SJR 170. But that resolution didn't prohibit contracting with boycotters as this law does. We need to know that the BDS movement is not about combating atrocities. Otherwise, North Korea, China, Venezuela would all be on the list, but they're not, only Israel. It's an attack against the nation of Israel, and we're sure that our state is going to continue to stand with the nation and the people of Israel. Now I'll give you Tom Luther.
Thank you, members of the committee. I'm Tom Luther, and I serve as pastor of a diverse congregation in Columbia, Missouri, and also Missouri State Coordinator for Christians United for Israel. The movement to boycott Israel is a racist endeavor. While some may claim otherwise, the BDS movement goes to destroy the state of Israel through demonization and boycotts. But you don't need to take our word for it. Here are some quotes from those who are promoting the BDS movement. The real aim of BDS is to bring down the state of Israel. That should be a state as an ambiguous goal. That was by Keila, professor of political science in California State University. Another quote is, our corporation boycotts all Israeli products and services and encourages other institutions, companies, and individuals to cease and to avoid all economic, academic, and cultural activity that supports the racist state of Israel until the state dissolves itself. That's from Paul Ladur, co-founder of Free Palestinian Movement. Another quote is, we need to wipe out Israel. That's from Anna Belzer, the leading pro-BDS activist and author and speaker. I implore you that we must resist this evil movement. And as is in the core language before you, it's largely identical to that which was passed by my home state. It's the strongest language of its kind in the United States, and there has been no legal opposition nor loophole exploited in my state. Your support of this legislation will ensure Tennessee takes the strongest possible stance against those who would destroy our ally Israel and harm every other religion. We thank you for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen. Just remain seated for a moment. There could be some questions coming from our members. Any questions, members, to our panelists? Any questions? Yes, we do. Chairman Hulsey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Do you know of any professors who take the same position that are paid by taxpayers in the state of Tennessee in our universities?
And who would like to address that?
Turn it off. I'll address that. I don't know off the top of my head. What I would say is that there is a problem on the American College campus. I would be pleasantly surprised if I'm a graduate of the University of Alabama. Please don't hold that against me. But I would be pleasantly surprised if that wasn't the case at UT or other places here in town, in the state. But I will say that the students of Christians United for Israel, of which there are many thousands, stand proudly for Israel alongside their Jewish brothers and sisters. And we have not ceded the campus to a professor, an administrator, or any student who would seek to demonize the Jewish state.
Chairman Hulsey, follow up? No. He says no. He's through. Any further questions? Well, gentlemen, thank you for your cooperation on the timing. Very well. I'm impressed, and we appreciate you very much. Thank you, and you may return to your seats. And next, we have Rabbi Shifted. Rabbi, would you please come forward. It's good to have you with us today. And as you know, we're going to ask you to, for the record, identify yourselves and again, your position. And finally, and most importantly, your time is 5 minutes or less.
You know, you're
Rabbi.
asking a
And I
lot
know
from
you will
a member of the
cooperate with us,
clergy to
won't you?
speak for 5 minutes or less. You said
Thank you, sir.
25 minutes or less, didn't you?
You may proceed, sir.
Thank you. My name is Rabbi Mark Shifton. I am the senior rabbi of the temple here in Nashville, Tennessee, the largest and the oldest synagogue in Nashville, Tennessee. I want specifically to add my support to the words the Israel-controlled territories language in defining the state of Israel in the bill before you. I should add that Jesus knew this land well. This is the same language used by 20 other states in their bills and in federal law. Now, let me be clear about why this is important, what we mean by territories. My first encounter with the West Bank, with Judea and Samaria, was not in the New York Times or via cable TV. It was in my Bible, in our Bible, where the land was called Judea and Samaria, the names which lasted more than 2,000 years. It was in Judea, in the Judean hills, where most of the Israelites settled when they entered the land with Joshua. Today, you can visit Hebron, which is the burial place of the patriarchs of both the Jewish people and the members of the Christian faith, the burial place of Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob, Rachel, and Leah, and where later King David set up his kingdom. And despite all kinds of conquerors, invaders, despite years of persecution and suffering, the Jewish people have maintained a presence in Judea and Samaria for 2,000 years. If Tennessee wants to have an anti-BDS law, and it should, then we cannot be ambiguous and make room for the racist discrimination that can threaten Israel today and Jews worldwide today as they were threatened before. Please understand that this is the intent and purpose of the openly racist and discriminatory boycott, divestiture, and sanction campaign. If our law does not protect Israel and the territories it controls, then we may embolden those who share the vision of eliminating a Jewish homeland. And that would be a tragedy not only for my people, but for each and every member of the Christian faith as well. We have an important piece of legislation before you, and adding the few words "and the Israeli-controlled territories," which neither conflict with nor undermine this bill in any way, do give light and clarity for all who hear them. Let me be clear on one other point. Israel is the only democracy in the entire Middle East, from Iran in the east to Morocco in the west. Israel is the only country in the entire Middle East where Jews, Christians, and Muslims have rights for freedom of religion, have rights of citizenship. Nowhere else in that entire region is that protected and made sacred. Here's what I pray. Let our words and your actions be a beacon for fairness and peace in Jerusalem and in Israel. And on behalf of the Jewish people, I thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rabbi Shifton. All right, you have heard members. Do you have any questions to Rabbi? Well, to all four of you, five, you've got a great guy leading your charge. We appreciate him. He's well respected. I think you already know that. But thank you for your time, gentlemen. You may return to your seats, and if there's no objections, we will return back into session. With that, members, any closing questions for the sponsor, for Chairman Williams? I see none, and we have a call. Yes, we do. We have a call for the question. No objections. With that, let us vote. Those in favor of House Bill 2050, please say aye. Those opposed, like sign. Ayes have it. And Chairman, you're off to Gov Ops, sir. Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you, Chairman and members.
Thank you. Item number 14, House Bill 1673 by our Leader Johnson. You are recognized, sir. Got a motion and a second, Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1673 comes to us from our beloved Comptroller of the Treasury. And it would simply ensure that taxpayer dollars are not being wasted or abused by recipients or subrecipients of grants and loans. With this database, it would ensure that statutory requirements and audits are being completed.
Very good. You have heard an explanation, and my apology to you. You're not Leader Johnson, you're Speaker Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, you can call me whatever you would like.
All right. Questions to our speaker? We have a call for the question. See no objections. Let us vote on House Bill 1673. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. And you are off to Gov Ops, Speaker. Item 15 is by our Chairman Wendell, and let's keep him in our prayers, his mother. He had to return home. So we're going to roll that one 1 week. Please note, members. On to item 16, Chair Lady Littleton. You are recognized, ma'am. We got a motion. Hey, you've already got a motion and a second, Chair Lady. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry. Excuse me, Chair Lady. HJR, it's HJR 731 for the record. I had to do that. My apology, Chair Lady.
So HJR 731 is showing our support for Taiwan. They're trying to get away from the China being over them all the
Very good.
time, and they want their freedom. And so this is kind of not like Israel, but kind of the same. It just shows support for them.
Certainly. Very good. All right. You've heard any questions to Chair Lady Littleton? Heard a call for the question. I see no objection. So let us vote for HJR 731. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. You are off to calendar and rules, Chair Lady.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And could I say one more thing?
Thank you.
We
Yes, ma'am.
do have a Taiwan caucus, so anyone that hasn't signed on to it, Representative Jernigan and myself are the chairs of that in the House. And if anyone hasn't signed on to it, we would certainly appreciate them doing that. So
Thank you. Thank you for that. Next, we have item number 17 by, that'll be House Bill 2683 by the charming Representative Carringer. Karen, Representative Carringer, you're recognized. You've already got a motion and a second. Representative, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. Before I present this bill, I just want to welcome my 911 director, Brad Anders, who's in the audience.
Well, let us welcome him then. All right. All right.
So House Bill 2683 is a bill to amend TCA 8-36-308, which is a statute that authorizes early service retirement credit for emergency services, medical services personnel, police officer, and firefighters to receive retirement benefits at 25 years. This bill will add emergency communications personnel to the list of first responders who are also eligible for this benefit. So in summary, this bill is going to allow emergency communications personnel to be eligible for early service retirement if the employing entity has elected to offer this benefit. Requires the employing entity to cover 100% of the increased costs necessary to provide the benefits to emergency communications personnel effective January 1st of 2023. So this is what this bill does, and I would ask for your considerable favorable consideration.
All right. Thank you very much. Members, you've heard an explanation of the bill. Any questions? See none. I think we've got a call for the question. See no objection. So let us vote on House Bill 2683 by Representative Carringer. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Ayes have it. And Representative, you are headed to calendar and rules. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job. All right. And oh boy, the timing was perfect here. Item number 18, House Bill 2547. Representative Alexander, you've got a motion and a second, and we're looking forward to your explanation. You may proceed. You
Thank
are
you.
recognized.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, committee. This House bill, or this bill I bring to you today, comes from the Department of the Treasury. It's for the sales of state real property. The current law requires the property to be appraised by at least 2 independent appraisers unless the State Building Commission waives one of the appraisals. Often the second appraisal is unnecessary, and the SBC must take action to waive it. This process is burdensome. This legislation makes government work better, streamlining the State Building Commission's process regarding appraisals for the sale of state real property. It allows for only one appraisal and authorizes the SBC to require a second if necessary. That is the bill.
And that, okay, you have heard, members. Any questions to the sponsor? Got a question called? Let us, see no objections. Let us vote on House Bill 2547. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. 2547 is now moving on, Representative Alexander, to calendar and rules. And you remain right where you are. Don't you move. You're recognized on item number 19, House Bill 2783. And members, we got a motion and a second, but we also have an amendment here. Representative Alexander, would you please give us that drafting code?
Yes, sir. The drafting code is 013895.
Correct. Lucky you. You're right on. You're spot on. Do we have a motion and a second for the amendment? Yes, we do. We got a motion and a second for that. Let's get this one on the bill. Any objections to the calling of the question on this? See none. Let us vote on the amendment 13895. Those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. And Representative Alexander, We now have your amendment on the bill. Would you explain, please?
Yes, this bill came about because I had a teacher in my area who was probably one of the best math teachers in the state. She got asked to come back to school after she had retired for a teacher that was only going to be out 6 months. That teacher ended up being out for the whole year. And what ended up happening is our math teacher continued to teach, except when she ran out of her 120 days, which is what the previous law said, so that it did not hurt her retirement. She had to teach 2 and 3 days a week, and they had to get substitutes to fill in for the balance of the year. We are in a real crisis in this state, needing teachers. And when we have the opportunity to have an outstanding retired teacher being willing to give up her retirement and come back, we want to do so. I went to the Treasury Department. I went to Chairman White. We have worked really hard on this bill, making this a bill that does not hurt the state retirement program, as well as allows teachers to go back into the classroom when we need them, especially when they have an expertise. I hope you'll consider this bill. There's a lot of safeguards in this bill the Treasury has put on, and I think it's a good bill, and it's a win-win for our state.
Great. You have heard an explanation of the amendment or of the bill. Any questions? Yes, we do. Chairman Halsey, you're recognized.
Well, this is the last bill on the calendar, so I just want, this is only for education, folks. There's no police involved in this. Only reason I'm saying that, we got the same problem in police departments.
Right.
You got retired officers that could work.
Okay. Representative Vita is also for bus drivers, just bus drivers and retired school teachers.
Okay, very good. All right. Any further questions? Call for the question. I see no objections. Let us vote on House Bill 2783. Those in favor, please say aye. Pose like sign. Ayes have it. You're
Thank you,
moving on
committee.
to
Thank you, Chairman.
calendar and rules. Thank you, Representative Alexander. All right. Okay. All right. Any further, anything further to add? That concludes our calendar, members, for the day. And I'm going to entertain a motion of adjournment. I need a second. Got a motion and a second. Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned. Thank you.